Across the world, assembly lines in China hum with relentless energy, producing electric vehicles at a scale never seen before. Cargo ships loaded with sleek, affordable EVs depart Chinese ports, heading for Europe, Southeast Asia, and beyond, while Western car factories face layoffs and uncertainty. The global car market stands at a crossroads, its future no longer defined by Detroit or Stuttgart, but by the industrial might of China. This is not a distant scenario. China's electric car takeover is already reshaping the world's roads, economies, and geopolitical balance. For decades, the West was the undisputed leader in automotive innovation, setting standards for technology, safety, and design. Today, that assumption is being challenged as Chinese EVs outpace their rivals, not just in numbers, but in cost, technology, and strategic ambition. What's unfolding is not simply a green revolution or a story of consumer choice. It is a contest for control over the next era of mobility, one that will determine who commands the supply chains, critical minerals, and industrial power of the 21st century. The rise of Chinese electric vehicles is sending shockwaves through boardrooms, ministries, and military planners worldwide. The question is no longer whether China will lead, but how its dominance will reshape the foundations of global power. Many viewers believe Western automakers still hold the upper hand, with China cast as a fast follower, adept at copying but not leading. Yet this view overlooks the scale and depth of China's transformation and the strategic logic behind its EV surge. Electric cars are often framed as a climate solution, a way for consumers to make greener choices and governments to cut emissions. But beneath the surface, EVs are a lever of industrial policy, national security, and global influence. Trade tensions over electric vehicles are frequently dismissed as another episode in the long US-China rivalry. In reality, the stakes are far higher, touching every aspect of energy, technology, and the future of economic power. To understand China's EV strategy, we must reframe the question. Electric vehicles are not just about transportation. They are about who controls the arteries of the modern economy, from lithium mines to high-tech factories and global shipping routes. This is not a simple market competition. It is a story of state strategy, where governments shape entire industries and where the winners set the rules for decades to come. China's journey to automotive dominance began from a position of weakness. In the early 2000s, China was a minor player, reliant on foreign brands and technology, with little presence in the global car market. Western automakers, eager to access China's vast consumer base, entered joint ventures, bringing advanced manufacturing, design, and management expertise. For a time, it seemed China would remain an assembly hub for foreign giants. But by the 2010s, Beijing made a decisive bet on electric vehicles. The reasons were strategic. Choking pollution in megacities threatened social stability, and dependence on imported oil exposed China to global supply shocks. EVs offered China a chance to leapfrog the entrenched Western car industry, bypassing the internal combustion engine era and building a new industrial base from scratch. The state mobilized resources on a scale unmatched by any rival. Massive subsidies poured into research, development, and consumer incentives. Local governments competed to attract EV factories, while state banks provided cheap financing to domestic champions. The result was a tightly coordinated ecosystem where companies like BYD, NIO, and XPeng could experiment, scale, and iterate faster than their Western competitors. The Chinese state acted as both investor and customer, guaranteeing demand. At the heart of China's EV machine lies its dominance in batteries, the single most valuable and technologically complex component of an electric car. Companies like CATL and BYD now control the world's most advanced battery supply chains. China's grip extends from lithium mines in Latin America and Africa to cobalt in the Congo to rare earth processing at home. This vertical integration gives Chinese firms unmatched control over costs, quality, and technological innovation. Cheap, efficient manufacturing is another pillar of China's advantage. Decades of investment in infrastructure, logistics, and skilled labor have created a production system capable of relentless cost-cutting and rapid scaling. Chinese automakers have mastered the art of producing high-tech vehicles at prices that Western rivals struggle to match. Their ability to iterate quickly, launching new models in months, not years, gives them a decisive edge. Domestic champions like BYD have outpaced foreign rivals in the Chinese market, capturing the loyalty of consumers with affordable, feature-rich EVs. Their success at home has become the launchpad for a global export offensive. China's EV exports are now surging, flooding European markets with affordable, technologically advanced models. Ports in Rotterdam, Antwerp, and Barcelona are seeing record arrivals of Chinese vehicles, challenging local manufacturers. Western automakers, long accustomed to setting the pace, are now struggling to compete on both price and technology. The cost gap is so wide that even established brands are being forced to rethink their strategies or risk irrelevance. Governments in Europe and the United States have responded with tariffs and trade barriers, hoping to slow the influx of Chinese EVs and protect domestic industries. But these measures risk retaliation, higher costs, and a fracturing of global supply chains. Japan, once the undisputed leader in hybrid technology, now finds itself lagging in pure electric vehicles. The country's auto giants face a strategic dilemma: adapt to the new reality or risk being left behind in the global EV race. The consequences extend far beyond the car market. China's control over critical minerals, lithium, cobalt, nickel, and rare earths, gives it leverage over the entire clean energy transition, from batteries to wind turbines and solar panels. This dominance is not accidental. China has spent years securing mining rights, investing in processing facilities, and building relationships with resource-rich countries across Asia, Africa, and Latin America. Energy security is a central motivation. By shifting its transportation system from oil to electricity, China reduces its vulnerability to maritime choke points like the Strait of Malacca and the Persian Gulf, both of which are patrolled by rival navies. Electric vehicles are a hedge against oil dependency, allowing China to insulate itself from global price shocks and potential blockades. This shift has profound implications for the balance of power between energy importers and exporters. China's rise in EVs is also challenging Western industrial alliances. The European Union, United States, and Japan now face difficult choices: cooperate to rebuild their own supply chains, or risk being outflanked by China's scale and coordination. New trade blocs and alliances are emerging, as countries seek to secure access to critical minerals and advanced manufacturing. The geopolitics of EVs is redrawing the map of global industry and influence. Geography has played a crucial role in China's ascent. Its proximity to mineral-rich Mongolia, Central Asia, and Southeast Asia provides easy access to raw materials, while its extensive coastline supports vast port infrastructure for global trade. Centralized industrial planning allows China to coordinate investments in highways, railways, and power grids, ensuring that factories and suppliers are seamlessly connected. This geographic integration is a force multiplier for its EV industry. In contrast, Western supply chains are fragmented, stretched across continents, and vulnerable to disruption. Higher labor costs, complex regulations, and slower decision-making have hampered the ability of Europe and America to respond quickly. The regulatory environment in China is designed to accelerate innovation, with fewer barriers to new entrants and rapid approval for new factories. This agility has allowed Chinese firms to outpace their Western counterparts in both speed and scale. The risk of a global auto trade war is now real. As Chinese EVs gain market share, the specter of deindustrialization haunts Europe and North America, threatening jobs, communities, and political stability. Strategic anxiety is growing in Western capitals. Policymakers worry that China's dominance in EVs could become a tool of economic coercion, with the power to disrupt supply chains or withhold critical technologies in times of crisis. Tit-for-tat tariffs, investment restrictions, and calls for decoupling are escalating. The world's auto industry, once a symbol of globalization, is now a battleground for protectionism and strategic rivalry. Military planners are watching these developments closely. Control over critical minerals and advanced manufacturing is not just an economic issue. It shapes the ability to produce next-generation vehicles, drones, and even military hardware. The EV race is a microcosm of broader technological competition. Whoever sets the standards for batteries, charging infrastructure, and digital platforms will shape the rules for the next era of mobility, and potentially, for other industries as well. If China succeeds in setting global standards, its companies will become gatekeepers for software, data, and connectivity in vehicles worldwide. This influence could extend in the cybersecurity, surveillance, and even the movement of people and goods. The consequences ripple outward. Countries that depend on Chinese EVs and batteries may find their industrial policies constrained, their alliances tested, and their bargaining power diminished in future negotiations. The global energy system is also being reshaped. As EVs replace gasoline and diesel, demand for oil could plateau or decline, undermining the economic foundations of major exporters in the Middle East, Russia, and Africa. This shift could trigger new geopolitical tensions, as oil-dependent states seek to adapt or resist the transition. The balance of power between energy producers and consumers is entering a period of profound uncertainty. China's EV strategy is not just about exports. It is about building a self-reliant industrial ecosystem, capable of withstanding external shocks and projecting influence through technology, finance, and supply chains. The Belt and Road Initiative, with its network of ports, railways, and energy corridors, supports this vision. By integrating trade routes and securing access to resources, China is reinforcing its position at the heart of the global EV supply web. Western responses are fragmented. The United States is investing in domestic battery production and critical mineral mining, while the European Union debates new industrial policies and green subsidies. But the scale of China's lead is daunting. Alliances are being tested. The US and EU are seeking to coordinate on supply chain security, but differences over trade, regulation, and industrial strategy persist. Meanwhile, China is deepening ties with resource-rich partners in the global south. The competition is not just economic. It is about who controls the technologies that will define the next generation of industry, from artificial intelligence to advanced manufacturing and digital infrastructure. China's centralized system allows for rapid mobilization of resources, but it also carries risks of overcapacity, inefficiency, and political backlash. The West's more decentralized approach is slower, but potentially more resilient in the long run. The stakes extend to the environment. The speed and scale of China's EV rollout could accelerate the global transition to clean energy, but it also raises questions about resource extraction, environmental standards, and the sustainability of supply chains. As the world's roads fill with Chinese-made electric vehicles, the old assumptions about industrial leadership, energy security, and technological standards are being upended. The new automotive order is emerging, with China at its center. The question now is not whether China will dominate the EV market, but how the rest of the world will adapt. Will Western countries invest in new technologies, forge stronger alliances, or retreat behind protectionist barriers? The answer will shape the future of industry, energy, and global power. The choices made today will determine who sets the rules, who benefits from the transition, and who risks being left behind. The EV race is a test of statecraft as much as engineering. It is a contest over who can marshal resources, build alliances, and shape the systems that underpin modern life. For Europe, the challenge is existential. Its auto industry is a pillar of the economy, supporting millions of jobs and underpinning political stability. The threat of deindustrialization is not abstract, it is a daily reality for workers and communities. For the United States, the stakes are strategic. Control over advanced manufacturing, supply chains, and critical minerals is central to economic security and military readiness. The risk of falling behind is a national concern. For China, the EV takeover is both a triumph and a test. Success brings new influence, but also new responsibilities and vulnerabilities. The world will watch how China manages its power and how others respond. The deeper strategic trade-off is clear. The pursuit of industrial dominance brings both opportunity and risk. Those who control the future of mobility will shape the contours of global influence, but they will also inherit new dependencies and challenges. The old assumption that industrial power naturally flows westward is now incomplete. The center of gravity is shifting, and the world's economic and technological map is being redrawn in real time. The smarter geopolitical question is not just who sells the most cars, but who controls the systems, standards, and supply chains that define the next era of industry. Power now lies in the ability to set the rules, not just play by them. The broader consequence is a world where alliances, trade routes, and energy systems are in flux. The rise of Chinese EVs is forcing every country to rethink its place in the global order and its strategy for the decades ahead. China's electric car takeover is not merely a story of market share or technological prowess. It is a quiet revolution in how power is built, projected, and contested in the 21st century. The world's roads are changing, and with them, the balance of power is shifting quietly but decisively in China's direction. The real question is not whether China will dominate the future of cars, but whether the rest of the world can adapt before the new automotive order becomes unchangeable.